Imagine this. Two legendary fighters, well past their prime, both still hungry for that one last shot at glory. But instead of swinging punches, we get a story of humility, friendship, and a reality check that only Mike Tyson could deliver. This is one of those what could have been moments in boxing, a tale that shows that not every fight worth having takes place in the ring. Mike Tyson, the infamous baddest man on the planet, was recently in the spotlight again after his match with Jake Paul. To no one's real surprise, Tyson took a beating at the hands of the much younger YouTuber turned boxer. But after the match, the internet began to buzz not just about Jake Paul's win, but also about a possible new contender to step into the ring with Iron Mike, Chris Eubank Sr. But here's where it gets good. Eubank Sr. made a polite but hopeful offer for an exhibition fight. A classic, "Hey Mike, what do you say? Want to go one more round for old time's sake?" And just like that, Tyson shut him down with 6 simple words. "Come on, man, you're my friend." Boom! Knocked out before he even had the chance to warm up. Eubank Sr. was served a slice of humble pie with that one. There's nothing quite like a reality check from an old friend to put things into perspective, is there? Chris Eubank Sr., for those who don't remember, was no slouch in his heyday. A champion who tangoed with some of the best. Nigel Benn, Henry Wharton, Joe Calzaghe, you name it. He was an icon of the sport, with a flamboyant style that made him both a feared opponent and a beloved figure in British boxing. But he hung up his gloves in 1998, following 2 brutal losses to Carl Thompson, ending an illustrious career. Unlike other boxers of his generation, Eubank didn't come back for that 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th curtain call. Maybe it was a question of dignity, or maybe just common sense, but something in him resisted, until now. But there's an interesting parallel here. Tyson's recent fight against Jake Paul showed the world exactly why fighters should respect Father Time. Tyson's age caught up to him. The poor guy had knees that could barely bend and feet that weren't quite as swift as they used to be. Jake Paul moved around like a man 30 years younger. Oh, because he actually is, and Tyson just couldn't keep up. It was a battle between youth and experience, and youth ultimately had the upper hand. If we're being honest, putting Mike in a fight with a 28-year-old might have been a little reckless. Sure, Tyson managed to survive all 8 rounds, which is nothing short of miraculous considering his health battle earlier in the year. 8 blood transfusions, losing half his blood. It's enough to make you question why he even got in the ring at all. But there's the magic of Tyson, the spirit that refuses to back down, no matter the odds stacked against him. When Eubank Sr. approached Tyson, there was probably a little part of him that felt the pull of glory days. That magnetic nostalgia that brings every retired athlete back into the game, even if only for an exhibition. The roar of the crowd, the thrill of competition, the camaraderie of training. It can be impossible to resist. But Tyson? Well, Tyson had a different approach. "You're my friend," he said. He wasn't going to lay out his buddy, not even for charity or an ego boost. And Eubank, he recognized the silliness of his request, calling it shameful. He admitted he wasn't evolved back then, still chasing money and lost glory, still grasping for a piece of something that had long since slipped away. This wasn't the first time Tyson had to put someone back in their place. Heck, Mike's entire career is a series of metaphorical and literal knockouts. But this time it was different. It wasn't in the ring, and it wasn't with a snarl or a haymaker. It was a friendly reminder that some things, like friendship, are worth more than money or a flicker of fame. Tyson's 6 words may not have been a knockout punch, but they landed just as powerfully. It was an act of kindness wrapped in brutal honesty, and it delivered a message that transcended boxing. But let's not get too carried away on sentiment. Tyson has always been one to understand when to switch gears. When he returned to the ring recently, it was all for one last chance to prove something. To himself, to the fans, to his family. It was about more than just winning or losing. It was about showing that he still had something left, even if that something wasn't quite enough to overcome youth and energy. And even though he didn't win, Tyson declared that the fight with Jake Paul was, in a way, a win for him. The grit it took to get healthy again, the courage to go up against a young, hungry, and let's be honest, arrogant fighter, and the chance for his children to see their old man go 8 rounds. That was the real victory. Now back to Eubank Sr. There's an endearing side to this story. Sure, Tyson rejected his challenge, but this isn't exactly a story about failure. It's about reality checks and the unapologetic honesty of old warriors. Eubank may have felt a twinge of embarrassment, but also a sort of liberation. Tyson showed him that there's no shame in simply hanging up the gloves for good. Besides, Eubank had already proven himself countless times. He didn't need another fight to validate his career. His legacy was already etched into the annals of boxing history, and Tyson helped him realize that chasing shadows of the past wouldn't change that. The age-old boxing truth remains. Father Time is undefeated. Mike Tyson knew it, even if he was stubborn enough to briefly challenge it. Chris Eubank Sr. was tempted, but didn't get the chance. These two legends, forged in the fires of their respective primes, eventually had to reckon with the one opponent nobody beats. And maybe, just maybe, there's something kind of poetic in that. They were warriors once, and the battlefield may have changed, but the respect for each other remained. So what can we take away from this story of hypothetical punches that never landed and challenges that never materialized? Perhaps it's the realization that time changes everything. It transforms warriors into friends, fierce rivals into wise men, and turns stadiums full of roaring fans into quiet, reflective living rooms. For Tyson, the moment was a reflection on friendship. For Eubank, it was a wake-up call. They both had nothing left to prove, and the best way to honor their past was to let it be just that, the past. In the end, maybe the best fight either of them ever fought was the one they didn't fight. One where dignity was preserved, friendship trumped vanity, and reality won over nostalgia. Tyson and Eubank Sr. left the hypothetical ring with their respect for each other intact, which in a sport that's often ruled by trash talk and bruised egos is as rare a victory as you can get. It was a win that wasn't counted in belts or knockouts, but in something far more meaningful. These two giants of the sport showed that even in the twilight of their careers, they still had the wisdom to know when to walk away. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Should Tyson have taken the fight for old time's sake, or did he make the right call in keeping their friendship intact? And if Eubank had gone back in the ring, would he have had a chance? Let's also not forget the impact this has on the younger generation of fighters, watching their idols choose wisdom over a last-ditch grab at glory. Let's hear your hot takes, boxing fans. Was this a lesson in knowing when to walk away, or just another missed opportunity for an epic showdown?